Hello, I'm here today with our fine and contemporary art specialist valuer, Philip Maggs. Philip,
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. And we wanted to have a chat about some specific pictures today we've got coming up in our fine art sale.
Okay.
But first of all, to those of our viewers, listeners who haven't come across you before, how long have you been here with us at UBAX now?
I think about 7 months now.
Okay.
So, 7 great months,
Yeah.
pleased to say. Before that, with another auction house where I was head of picture department as well. And then before that, I was the representative for a US company doing their buying in Europe.
And before we talk about some specifics we've got coming up, have you got a particular interest or area of art that's a real passion of yours, either that you collect or that you've always enjoyed?
Yeah, I think Scandinavian painting from about 1880 to 1920. I think it's just they trained with all the great French artists in France. Everyone had to go their own way at the outbreak of the Franco-Prussian War,
Right.
and they went back home and where they just had wonderful light.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really great school of painting.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, something very different to that
Yes,
today that we're going to talk about. So, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. We've got two artworks here by Ben Enwonwu.
I think that's right.
What can you tell us about them, Philip, in terms of where they've come from and what we're seeing here?
So they've both come in to us privately, actually from this lady here, who's called Miss June Gibson. Both painted, so the watercolor 1967 and the oil here 1971, which was a good period in his life, very productive, where he really developed his style. I mean, as you can see, the watercolor here very much like his normal works, sort of quite sinuous West African subjects. The oil here is a very unusual subject for him as an artist. There are two versions of the painting. We're very lucky to have the exhibition catalogue here. And as you can see, there is the portrait. So this is from a 1972 exhibition in London. There is this portrait and the study for the portrait, which we believe was in the artist's collection. So, I mean, he's long since passed away now. We're not quite sure where the study is,
Right.
but this is the only known example.
I mean, it's a new name on me as an artist, but it's certainly not on looking him up in terms of his influence and importance. Listed as one of the most important African artists.
Yeah,
Have you ever?
I don't think it's a stretch to say he's one of a handful of artists that were really transformative for how African art is seen today. Certainly, that's the case. And I mean, he was lucky. His father was a sculptor, so he was very much born into it. He won a scholarship, I think, in the 1940s to come and study in London. So he was trained at the Slade School, so about as prestigious as you can get.
Yeah.
Left with a first-class diploma from there, and of course was able to take the Western training and meld that back. But I mean, he was a cultural attaché as well for the Nigerian government, so he was used to travelling internationally to the United States, to the UK, throughout Europe, to try and further the reputation of African art. So not only a great artist, but someone who's recognised by his own government.
So I guess commercially successful in his lifetime.
Yes.
And how about now? How do his prices sort of tend to come up at auction for artworks that we've seen?
Well, it's again let's take the watercolor to start with. I mean, oil is really the top of the triangle, if you like, in terms of medium. So as a watercolor, I think we've estimated this at 2,000 to 3,000. I would hope it would be top end of that, if not some more. So when you think of him in the watercolor, this is really what you think of. And just so you can see the darker work around here and at the bottom, that's not, I mean, when I first looked at it, I thought that was acid damage. It's not. You can see the brushwork there. That's actually how he's painted it. So I think it really is in quite good condition.
So this is more typical of his work, but
Absolutely.
it's a watercolor, therefore it's a lower estimate.
Yes.
This oil here that we've got, perhaps atypical
Yeah.
because of the subject matter. What sort of estimate have you looked at?
So I mean, for what he makes, we've gone quite low and quite wide. So 20 to 40,000, we've said. And I think if it had been an oil of something that was this subject, I think we would have been perhaps more up around 80 to 120,000 for it.
And I'm right in saying there's some good provenance with this that comes along with these artworks from the
Uh,
designer.
Absolutely. I mean, this was a really great period in his life. The lady who's consigned them effectively is June Gibbs, right? So they've never been anywhere else. In talking to family members and family friends of hers, we believe this was done as a gift, and we believe that was given to her as a gift by Ben Enwonwu as well. So
You've also got some correspondence
yes,
from the artist.
that's right. We're lucky to have here, in addition to the 1972 London exhibition catalogue, we have 8 letters here from the artist himself to Miss June Gibson there. And as you can see, I mean, the language is really quite endearing and affectionate to each other. They usually start, "My dear June," "My darling June," "June, my love." And I don't think this suggests that there was any sort of long-standing relationship between them, other than just a very affectionate and endearing friendship. But
He lived in London for a time?
so I think as part of his work, of course, I mean, he was a regular visitor here after so in 1956, actually, when Queen Elizabeth was on a state visit to Nigeria, she commissioned him to do a sculpture of her, and that was actually unveiled the following year in 1957 in London. So I mean, we think he was a regular visitor here. He was cultural attaché, so in many ways had a further
So
diplomatic role.
for some time by this point in the late 1960s, potentially, you can see got Nigerian High Commission there. So these are,
Absolutely.
they're all from the artist? Have you
Yeah.
any?
So there's one here from June that's typewritten, actually. So we think that's just a copy of what she had sent him.
Right.
But they go from 1968, and the last record of correspondence we have is a Christmas card here from 1975.
Rare to get this amount of provenance, isn't it, with a
I
portrait?
mean, it's just lovely to have when you can see. I mean, quite often when you look at a portrait, you're judging it just on how it is. But when you can delve into what's the relationship between the artist and the sitter. I mean, this wasn't. I don't think she commissioned him. It really sounds as if this was a gift from him to her.
And a close friendship, clearly, because
Yeah,
he's giving her 2 of his paintings when he was already an established and successful artist.
quite so close. Yeah, as far as we know from talking to family members, there was never any sort of relationship there other than endearing friendship.
Yeah.
Although when I look at this portrait, I mean, I think he's sort of, we've got a slightly more loose background, which I think heightens the sense of the face, which I think he's taken a long time over. When I look at what she's wearing, actually, I mean, it's not a formal portrait. I mean, she's dressed, it almost looks like a white night dress. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's quite casual,
Yeah.
but
It's really striking, isn't it?
yeah. But I think he's clearly spent a long time trying to capture a character of a great friend.
Very difficult. I don't want to put you on the spot with this because obviously where you have an artwork that is not typical of the artist's work, maybe the subject matter or the style is perhaps slightly different. What impact do you think that has on the possible value at auction, and who would be buying a portrait like this?
So I think perhaps an institution or someone who's already collected his work. And I think if you had one or two or several works already, or had part of your museum was specializing in this 20th century African art, the fact that it is quite unique could be a plus.
Yeah.
For how much it makes.
Well, really exciting to see it go under the hammer in our fine art auction, which is on the 26th of June.
Correct.
And you've got some other great pictures in that set.
Yeah, it's a nice collection. Again, we cleared a whole house in Crowthorne. That's had some very interesting artworks in. We'll probably take a look at those shortly. But yeah, we're excited about this.
Yeah. So aside from these wonderful pieces, we've got some other great fine art, haven't we, coming up?
Yes, that's right. We've got a work of 2 tigers in a rocky lair that's by George Stern, who's an Austrian artist. we've got that in at 3 to 5,000. I mean, that picture was sold in Germany about 10, 12 years ago for 25,000. So it's, again, that's come to us privately. So we've got that at 3 to 5,000. There's a lovely Tom Mostyn of a enchanted garden scene, originally retailed by the Fine Arts Society. We've got the label on the back for that still, which is good. There is a lovely portrait of a woman in profile, which is a pastel, Viennese, 1920, by the amusingly named Paul Grabwinkler. But I think it is it is Viennese art, 1920, just perfection personified for me. A lovely study of a beautiful woman in profile. And there are 3 works that have come from a house in Haslemere by Cecil Alden as well. 1 hunt scene, and then 2 of his lovely portraits of dogs.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it's looking like a strong.
So it's been a really great sale to put together.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, we look forward to it. I'm excited to see how it all does.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And welcome to you back belatedly. So, yeah, I've seen, but it's really nice to speak to you, Philip. Thank you.
Good. Nice to be here.